Hello, my name is Billy Bob Harris. Welcome to our show. You know, when I prepare for one of these interviews, I generally kind of know what to focus on or what to learn. You know, if it's a novelist, I read some of their writings. If it's an athlete, what sport? If it's some musician, what genre of music? When I started with Stacy and started saying, I said, wow, I don't know where to start. Now, this is going to be a long introduction, but I just want our people to know, Stacy.
Thank you.
About Stacy. Texas businesswoman, avid competitor in the National Cutting Horse Association, was a top competitor in the javelin at Texas Women's University on a full scholarship. At 22, opened and ran 32 fitness centers. Now, this is just a few of the things that Stacy has done. She's on more boards than anybody I know. And Stacy, I'm just going to mention two of them, not that the rest of them are not important or that you're not involved. But the two that I want to talk about is MD Anderson, which is globally recognized.
Of course.
And the other one is Texas Women's University. Governor Abbott put her on the board where she's currently chairman of the Board of Regents. Welcome. Okay, now I'm going to be quiet now, but I had to get some of that stuff in.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, Stacy, we'll come back to these things.
Okay.
Tell us from the beginning, where'd you grow up? Tell us about your family.
I grew up in Denton, Texas, and my father was an educator. My mother passed from leukemia when I was 10 years old, and I had a wonderful childhood in Denton, growing up there. My father was a coach early on when I was young. He coached at Louisville High School. Walt Garrison was one of his athletes. Mm-hmm. So I literally grew up on a baseball or football field from the time I was very, very young.
So you were an athlete. You were interested in that to start with.
I was. Always was somewhat naturally gifted. Uh-huh. And my father probably wanted a boy first.
Okay.
And so he thought I had some gifts physicality-wise because I had good dexterity early on.
Well, a full scholarship to Texas Women's University.
Well, that was before Title IX, which was a feat in itself when I look back, because as I recall, I don't even remember any fanfare as far as Dentonites thinking, wow, she got a scholarship to a full ride to this school, when our male athletes were being recognized left and right.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, that was the time in the mid-'70s. Mm-hmm. So Dr. Lyle, who was the coach at Texas Women's University, they were national champions in track and field for at least 10, 15 years. He had spotted me as a cheerleader at Denton High School because that was the only avenue I had, because women's sports were really a non-entity then.
Non-existent. Or non-recognizable anyway. There's such a word as recognizable.
Recognizable.
Okay.
And I played sandlot ball my whole life, whether it was baseball or football with the boys. But the coach recognized in the mid-'70s, early '70s, I was throwing footballs, the little footballs, out of the stadium at Denton High School. And his son had been playing on the Denton High School Bronco team, and he thought I had an excellent arm. And, of course, javelin, I knew what a javelin was, but Texas didn't have it as a high school sport. So he talked to me my junior year, which was in 1973. I signed a letter of intent, and I started throwing the javelin then, practicing. By the time I was a freshman in college, I received a full ride.
Gosh, that's great. That's great. And I know let's go back to Texas Women's University. It's the nation's largest university founded for women.
Correct.
Graduates more health professionals than any university in Texas. We have a little recruiting company, and when we get maybe a search for a nurse, and it's got graduate from Texas Women's University, wham, that's about all the selling job you need to do.
I think that I agree with that.
Yeah, but what are some of the highlights? Now, what's the enrollment approximately? Texas Women's University.
Collectively with the Dallas and Houston campus in Denton, 20,000.
Gosh, now you started letting men in not too long ago.
70s.
Oh, in the 70s?
My father was one of the first male students. I believe he was trying to work on his PhD in the early 70s, mid-70s.
So what's the percentage of men and women
It's
there?
probably, I've seen different percentages, but around 13% men.
Okay.
We are the third most diverse school in America.
God,
That's a big statement
that's
right
a
there.
big one.
Yes.
And you've been an advocate for women all your life.
I have been a champion for women.
Yeah.
I really have. I make no apologies.
I understand.
I'm around women that lift each other up. I'm an alpha female, and I like to be around alpha females and women that are better than me, and I am.
Yeah. Okay. MD Anderson is known globally. You're on that board. How do you explain MD Anderson?
It's a magical place. When you are there in Houston at the facility, you really realize and get the magnitude of how special that place is. There's a lot of people suffering. There's a reason why they're the #1 hospital in the world, and they have been for as long as I can remember. Yeah. I've been on that board over 25 years. It seems like I'm facilitating getting people in there weekly because cancer touches everybody's life.
I've been the recipient of that.
Yes, you have.
A number of times.
Yes, you have. And so is David.
Yeah.
David had cancer in
David,
05.
David is the guy that's been hanging out with her as her husband for how long?
We've been together 43 years,
43
married 40 years this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. I can
Long
tell.
time.
I can tell you.
You were there.
Yeah, I was there. David really traded up in the draft, I want to tell you. But, Larry Mahan, the rodeo cowboy.
Larry, what a great guy.
Yeah. He's down there because of you. And when he was down there, I guess this is the first month or two that he stayed, he went to the children's. Because he's a celebrity.
Of course.
They asked him to come speak to him. He said it's amazing, those little tykes, how they take care of them.
It's such a special place, and a lot of people have reservations about going to hospitals in general. But I have never felt the presence of the Lord any more than I have at MD Anderson.
Yeah. Larry said that the caring from everybody, from the people that check you in, to the nurses, to the people that changes the beds, everybody. He said it's just amazing.
It's amazing.
Okay, I didn't name all the boards that you're on, and we won't have time to go on that because we'll be here till the day after tomorrow. But let's say it's a Monday, okay? Monday, start of a new week. Give us one day in your life.
Well, I wear a lot of different hats.
I know that's where.
And that keeps it real. It keeps it fun. It keeps it interesting. We're around a lot of different people, different types of people. It's completely different from one day to the next.
Yeah.
It used to have a little bit more consistency. when our daughter Sterling was at home. I have less now, and I choose to have less because it keeps it so interesting
and stimulating
It's
to you.
very
I'm sure.
stimulating.
But on one day, you would go to the cutting horses. So,
Like Saturday. for
okay, go ahead. Let's
example.
go. Talk about it.
Saturday, I competed. I went and gathered cattle in Weatherford. I practiced. And then I competed in the finals on Saturday. And then I had a 2-hour interview that afternoon
Concerning the cutting horse.
for the NCHA.
Okay.
That was just Saturday.
Yeah.
And then David and I had an event at Bass Hall that we wanted to go see. So we took part in that and wanted to support Bass Hall, as David is on the executive board there. And so
That's the performance hall in Fort Worth. Okay.
that the Bass family helped build in Sundance Square. So that's very important to us. Is Fort Worth is where the West begins,
Yeah.
and it's where cowboys, cowgirls, and culture meet.
Yeah.
And that's just who we are. Yeah. We enjoy that. And so that was Saturday. Today's a different day.
Let's
Dallas,
let's
Texas,
talk. All right, let's talk
talking to
about
Billy
today.
Bob Harris.
Okay, let's talk about, if we wasn't doing this interview, what would you be doing after Saturday in the cutting horse and the Bass Hall?
Usually the day after a show, and our show lasted 27 days.
Okay.
So that really throws kind of a wrench in my schedule. Yeah. I have to be much more flexible, as most of the time I am working cattle in the morning before I show, and every day. Mm-hmm. So for 27 days or close to that, I am going to a ranch in Weatherford, Texas, and working with our resident trainer, Clint Allen, and I really enjoy that. Okay. That's an outlet for me.
Okay. Then that puts you behind.
It does.
In your...
Then I'm playing catch-up.
Okay, and you play catch-up. Okay, this is today. If you weren't doing this interview, I wonder what you would be doing with your different... I mean, my gosh, Stacy, what all you do here is just amazing.
I may have a couple calls I have to hop on, whether it's, and usually it's with Texas Women's University. Okay. And it could be with doing something, usually helping people get into hospitals. Yeah. When your name starts floating out there, people in the equine world, they start, or other worlds, start calling. And it's not something I ever envisioned that I would do, but it is extremely gratifying. And I feel like I'm somewhat of a conduit to help those that need help. And I enjoy doing it. I really do.
That's good.
And it's first and foremost one of the most gratifying things that I've been able to do. Yeah.
Stacy, just from my observation, to say that you're passionate would be, to say you're passionate about life, to say you're passionate, period, would be an understatement. And I know you enjoy that. And I've been the recipient of you getting people in MD Anderson and saving their lives. So I know that's a thrill to you. And of course, do I thank you? Yes. Does the person that you saved life thank you? But I know it's a thrill to you.
It's a thrill, but it's a privilege that I'm just grateful that I can just, we're doing great things with cancer now. Yeah. Yeah. You have the immunotherapy, which was a game changer as far as chemotherapy was concerned. At MD Anderson, we have proton therapy that Red McCombs and George Bush helped raise the money for that, and that was over $1 billion project, the proton machine, the radiation machine in Houston, Texas. So just to be a part of that is such a privilege, and I just really enjoy helping people get second opinions or get into MD Anderson.
Yes, yes. I hear a lot of interviewers that are interviewing people that are interesting, successful people say, Stacy, what would somebody of your age today tell an 18-year-old Stacy?
Well, for example, I'm mentoring my niece tomorrow. I have a lunch. She reached out to me, and her name is Grace Deeb, and I can hardly wait to engage in that conversation with her. I do mentor other young women, and that is extremely, extremely gratifying because I get to go back with some wisdom.
Yeah.
And confidence.
Yeah.
And that is, I can hardly wait for that tomorrow. And David and I have, in our family, got together a number of years ago, and what we came up with as a family as far as giving is I wanted to make giving to TW, which I had never done before. I had given back to the athletic department later as we had made some money. And when Governor Abbott appointed me to that board, I decided it was time to give back in my hometown. Okay. And what became meaningful to me personally was to find 5 kids that were of merit, that had household incomes of $50,000 or less, and that met all the requirements that we have for this scholarship. And we give these 5 kids every year a full ride from Denton High School to Texas Women's University.
All the way through.
All the way through
4 years.
For 4 years. And here's the key. The key is not so much the monetary value of that scholarship, but it's mentorship. So Texas Women's and the McDavid family, our family, partnered to have mentorship at the university to keep those students on track for their 4 years at Texas Women's. That has been extremely gratifying.
There are so many things that I want to go into with you, just like this. I did not know about this. Now, did that make a change, an improvement in how many lives? I mean, not just only students, their family, what they do later, and the help that they give other people.
David and I have given to a lot of brick and mortar, and our names have been on things before. We're not about that now.
I know you know. I know you
know.
Yeah.
And although Chuck Swindoll told us a long time ago, he said, you know, it is good occasionally to put your name on buildings, and the reason is it lets your grandkids know where your heart was.
Oh, I never thought about it that way.
Nor had we.
Yeah.
And we thought that was somewhat of a novel idea, but we've done that.
Yeah.
And now, as we have all evolved, what's important to us is to make micro changes in people's lives. And most of these recipients of these scholarships thus far, although we do not discriminate against young men either, these are usually first-time college students in their family, and it's usually women of color or black or brown or Asian.
Whatever. That's just my...
So that's important to us, really, Bob.
Okay. Stacy, you are doing so many wonderful things for so many different people in so many different areas that it's truthfully, you're a blessing to humanity. You really are. And I can tell you, with all these different things that you're doing, all these different things, you're so wonderfully unique. You did not come off of an assembly line, I can tell you. And I don't want to embarrass you.
No.
But it is what it is.
Very much.
My father had this saying, it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't, son. But anyway, okay. Stacy, in closing, I always like to ask my guests this, okay? Tell me your 3 favorite words.
I love you.
Gosh almighty. Wow. We'd better close here. Go ahead.
I love you, Billy Bob.
This was... What's the matter, Amy?
I do love you, BB.
I love you too. And I meant everything I said.
I know.
I did.
Well, that was fun.
It was powerful. It was
Right.
powerful.
You know, BB, and I don't know if you know this about me, but I came from a very, very modest background. And when David and I started making a lot of money, and David cannot stand this phrase that I'd heard my whole life, which was, too much is given, much is expected. David doesn't like that at all. And I don't know why he doesn't, but when I didn't have anything, I always looked at people of influence, financial influence, and always thought that, you know, behind, somewhere in the back of my mind. And when God blessed us financially, I looked at that as a gift. And I certainly felt like it was incumbent on us to make changes in our community.
Okay. Let me give you my perspective of why David doesn't like that. Okay?
Please, I'd love to know that because I've never figured it out.
I think I do. Yeah, I've known him a long time.
You've known him a lot longer than me.
And know him very, very good. The reason he doesn't like that, too much is given, much is expected. The reason David doesn't like that, he wants to do it anyway.
Exactly.
He wants to do it.
He did it when he had nothing.
When his heart.
Exactly.
So I can understand why he
Yes.
doesn't like that. That's just my perspective.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct.
So
No, he's a good man. He is a good man. And Max Whiter, that, you know, we were match made by a Jewish matchmaker. He knew what he was doing.
yeah. That. Thank you for this interview.
Thank you, BB.